If you did not already see my video from a couple of weeks ago all about why Bitcoin has to go down to about $12,000, then I suggest you go ahead and watch that video right now. However, I'm pretty sure you probably have already seen that, and that is why you're here right now, to find out what is going on with Bitcoin. Now, in the comments to that video, I heard a lot of people talking about institutional buy-in. People like this comment here from Martin. He says, I think there is too many institutions buying Bitcoin, and they won't allow it to go down that much. I see it hitting 22,300 before the 16th, then dropping back to 19. Now, I'm sure you're aware that it's already far below 19 and it's probably likely to drop down a lot further. We're going to be touching that with some predictions, that type of thing in this video. But before that, let me just apologize. It's very, very cold in here. In the UK today, it is absolutely freezing. So I've got all this woolen stuff on to try and keep warm. Anyway, let's get straight into it right after this. Hi, I'm Ben. This is my wife Gigi, and we set out in 2017 on our journey to follow our passion and own our very first hotel. While away in Australia and the Philippines, I rediscovered Bitcoin, and by the time we came back home some 3 months later, I had turned $500 into over $10,000 just by trading crypto. I was hooked and started this YouTube channel to help others profit from crypto. Today, we also have our site Moocharoo.ninja to help our growing community with tools ranging from training videos to trading signals, and we continue to build in new features all of the time. Our goal, however, has not changed. We're still striving for that first hotel, but we know that trading the crypto markets is going to be our best chance of success. Welcome to another step along the road as we get that bit closer to finding our new home, our new business, the hotel. So first up, this is what I hear everybody talking about. Things like Grayscale buying up Bitcoin. So this is the argument against Bitcoin is going to actually correct, which is what you would expect in a normal healthy market, is that something like this will correct, go back down for a bit, and then go up higher. And as traders, that's how we make money, okay? By prices going up, and then we sell off, it comes back down, we buy up more, and then it goes up again, and that's how you gain more Bitcoin. That's how you make money with crypto. You don't just hold it and wait until it tops out at 200,000. You have to trade it, and this is all part of market dynamics. This is what happens, and Grayscale, as well as other institutions that buy Bitcoin, they know this. They're professionals and they understand how markets work. So things like Grayscale, no, I don't think they're buying. And people like Paul Tudor Jones, now he's been in the market as a trader very, very successfully for many, many years. And he came out with this. This was back in May 7th, 2020. So way back in May, if we just have a quick look at the chart. So by the way, this is him saying that he buys Bitcoin as a hedge against inflation. And that was, as I say, back in May time, sort of around here. This is when he came to Bloomberg, and I think he'd already been on a couple of other news channels talking about why he was buying Bitcoin. So this was the big sell-off where Bitcoin went all the way down to about $3,500 because of COVID, and all the stock market crashed, and there was a knee-jerk reaction, and basically everyone sold everything at that time. And this is where I believe that Paul Tudor Jones would have bought up the bulk of his Bitcoin. And as you can see on this chart, so this is a weekly chart for Bitcoin, you can see quite clearly where it goes too high, and then it comes undervalued, and then it goes up too high again, and then it comes undervalued. And I'm pretty sure you would agree that right now, it's not down here. So this is where smart money invests, like Paul Tudor Jones. He would be buying down here. Up here is this where smart people buy Bitcoin. People like Grayscale and Paul Tudor Jones do not buy up here. This is not institutions buying Bitcoin. So if we dig into the daily, you can see that this was the 4th and the 5th of December, which was Thursday, Friday last week. So those were 2 down days. Those are days when institutions are open for business. So during those days, the market was going down. Now, when the institutions were closed, then all of a sudden people were buying up Bitcoin. This buy-in activity going on here over the weekend is not institutions buying Bitcoin. This is the dumb money entering the market, ready for Monday morning when the institutions can sell off. And just to make the quick point, now I'm not saying all this because I'm some sort of Bitcoin bear and I'm super bearish on Bitcoin. I'm expecting it to go down. Absolutely not true at all. So if you do watch a lot of the videos on this channel, no doubt you already know and are quite aware that I'm expecting Bitcoin to go up to about 200,000 over the next year. And this correction is just all part of normal trading activity that you would expect during a run up to 200,000. So it doesn't really sort of take away from the fact that Bitcoin is going to go up considerably more over the next few months. This is just a normal correction. It's going to happen. The problem, though, is when people are led into the belief that for some reason it's just going to keep going up and that it's different this time when really it's not. So here you can see opened up Monday morning and everything went down. Right now looks like a possible bounce. And if it does bounce at this point, it's probably likely to come up here. So this is where the two lows, this is like the ceiling that you would expect here. So this is where me and probably a lot of other people that trade Bitcoin are going to be looking to sell off their Bitcoin. So right now it came down, you got a bit of what they call a dead cat bounce. So lots of people that are saying, hey, Bitcoin's down, but don't worry about it. I mean, this is a great thing. This means we get to buy Bitcoin even cheaper. Yeah, that is just the type of thing that you'll see idiots saying here online, whether it's comments on eToro or here on YouTube. You get lots of people saying this stuff, and they say it every single time when you're at a peak and it starts to go down. And probably it's just psychological. You know, they've bought up here somewhere around sort of 19, 20,000, and they just want to say it to sort of convince themselves that they made a good decision and that it's not all going to go down, when common sense says that obviously it is. And in this case, I'm absolutely expecting a possible pullback up here to that resistance level and then coming all the way down here to minimum 14,200. So that's where I think the absolute upper end of where it's going to go down to is going to be around sort of 14,200, just purely because that is, you know, if we were to sort of draw out where the 120-day moving average, this yellow line here, where if that's going to continue on its line upwards, and say if Bitcoin sort of goes up a bit, comes down and makes its way down, probably going to hit there around there. So that's going to be sort of around Christmas time. You know, it would be hitting out there around sort of 14.2. Possibly, obviously, it could go down a lot steeper. Who really knows exactly what's going to happen? But one thing for sure, I think, is, you know, looking on like the weekly chart, there's no reason for it to go any higher right now. A correction is definitely due and seems to be starting to happen right now. We are starting to see it come down again. So I could well imagine it coming down, hitting there around sort of 14.2, the absolute bare minimum there. I would much prefer to see it come down though into that sort of 12,000 mark, because it hits on this resistance back here, which I mentioned in that previous video. And also if you scroll back even more, you can see that there's a whole bunch of support right there as well for it. So, you know, that sort of 12,000, 12 to 13,000 would be fantastic. Not to mention that obviously there is also PayPal. Lots of people talking about PayPal, and PayPal is really annoying. I, as somebody that sort of sells things online, have been waiting for a very long time, anxiously waiting for something like PayPal to start accepting Bitcoin for payments, because obviously I want to get paid in Bitcoin. Now, the problem with PayPal is that they're not actually passing on the Bitcoin to the merchant. So even though people will pay with Bitcoin through PayPal, PayPal aren't actually giving away the Bitcoin. They are just allowing people to buy Bitcoin on their platform, and then they're paying when people want to buy something, they're just giving out cash paper money and they're holding that Bitcoin for themselves. And no doubt then making money on fees by selling that to somebody else which wants to buy some Bitcoin later on, and then they're going to buy stuff and so on and so forth. And basically, they're doing exactly what the banks did just back in the Wild West, i.e. they're collecting everybody's gold and, you know, storing it in their bank vault, in the PayPal bank vault. They're not actually going out and buying any Bitcoin. they're just getting their customers to buy the Bitcoin, and then they're holding it and they're not giving it away. Even when people buy stuff, they're just using paper money to pay people out. And I should imagine, just like the banks did back in the Wild West, they collected in all the gold, and then, you know, they issued out these paper notes that people could redeem some gold for at the bank. And then one day withdrew all that and said, no, actually, we're just going to hold all the gold. Thank you very much. And the good news is you don't have to use PayPal if you want to buy some Bitcoin and get it to store it, because with PayPal, apparently, allegedly, now I can't actually use it yet with my PayPal here in the UK, but apparently I've heard that people can't actually send out the Bitcoin. It's a little bit like eToro was back when they started. So you can't sort of send in Bitcoin and send out Bitcoin. It's just sort of stuck in the PayPal sort of universe. And that's what worries me about what they're doing. They're just using this, using their customers just to sort of buy Bitcoin for them. And they're not actually buying any themselves or investing in it themselves. They're just getting their customers to buy it instead. Very, very crafty. But yeah, you can use something like this, blockchain.com, and you can just set up a wallet for free and get yourself some Bitcoin, store it in blockchain. Then you can send it anywhere you want. You can get a hardware wallet and you can just send it to there. You can use it to send it to exchanges like Binance, OKX, KuCoin, and you're just free to use Bitcoin as Bitcoin was supposed to be used, rather than buying it on something like PayPal. And these guys, from what I've read and what I've heard, it's very, very, very strange. And as somebody that sells stuff online, if you come over to our website and scroll down, we do use PayPal for normal cash payments. So if you're going to upgrade your membership on Moocharoo Ninja and you wanted to use Bitcoin, I'd much rather than you using PayPal, and I don't actually get to receive any of that Bitcoin. If you pay with Bitcoin through PayPal, they keep your Bitcoin and send me cash. I'd much rather you actually use coin payments up here, because unlike PayPal, they don't hodl all of your Bitcoin and send me some trash. They actually send me the real Bitcoin. So that's much better. Also, coin payments, although I'm not all the way that happy with it, and I think they could improve, their API has been a lot better on the back end than PayPal. So we have a lot more sort of problems with customers upgrading and then their API not sending that to our system. And then anyway, long and short of it is their accounts don't get upgraded properly. They have to contact us through Telegram, etc. So it's much better. We have much less problems with coin payments rather than PayPal. So there we have it. The long and short of it is really that I don't believe there's any evidence whatsoever that there is institutional people buying Bitcoin right now. Clearly, because it's just really, really high, and institutions tend not to buy when it's really, really high. Okay, they're just going to wait for it to drop back down again. The only people buying over the weekend is just the dumb money investors, people trying to get in, fear of missing out and all that type of stuff. In fact, just one thing before we do close I want to show you is something called VWAP, volume weighted average price. And this is something that institutions would use to gauge whether or not they're buying something at a good price or not. So if you come on to TradingView, what I'm using here, and then you come to indicators, just stick in VWAP, okay, VWAP, select it there, and it will normally come on as a horrible looking blue line on there. Let's just get rid of that, press that twice. I normally like to change this up a little bit, maybe change it into some crosses, make it nice and bright so that I can see it, thicken it up a little bit. There we go. So you can see these little X's on here are the VWAP, wherever they've gone to, they disappear in there. And what they're going to do is buy underneath the VWAP, so whatever the average weighted price is. And you can see that the price right now should be, by the looks of it, this here. So this is about 17,000 or 70,800. So institutions would want to buy underneath VWAP, not above it. So the price right now is 18.8 and VWAP is about 17.8. So there's like $1,000 difference right there, and they want to buy underneath. They don't want to buy necessarily at VWAP. Okay, they're going to want to buy underneath. So right now, I'd probably say, as far as institutional buying goes, because of where the VWAP is right now, I think there is probably none whatsoever. Of course, institutions and institutional buyers are buying on behalf of investors and stocks, shareholders, whatever. So they can't just go out and make emotional decisions and try and jump on the bandwagon. They have to be able to back it up and say that they bought it at a good price, and they need to be able to prove that the decision that they made and the time that they bought it was a good price at that time. So I don't think that if they were to buy Bitcoin right now, they would have any justification as to why they thought that right now was actually a good price. So hey, that pretty much wraps up everything here today on why I think institutional buyers are not actually buying Bitcoin at all. No matter what you hear from other YouTubers here on YouTube, I think it's all complete nonsense. And that's it for me. I'll see you all again in the next video.